Would I be the jerk for wanting to move out and leave my grandma with my uncle? I've been living with my uncle and my paternal grandmother for 11 months. I moved here after my maternal grandfather passed away, and I was unemployed at the time. My uncle is extremely overwhelmed with taking care of my grandma. My dad doesn't do his part and only shows up every 15 days, so the burden falls entirely on my uncle. My uncle is living away from his wife, who is also caring for her own father, who had a leg amputated. He's on leave from his steady job and surviving on odd jobs. He has zero free time or leisure because he can't leave my grandma alone. My uncle and my dad fight constantly about this lack of help. My uncle has always been the primary caregiver. It was the same with my grandfather, who was an amputee, and he feels the weight of it. Before we lived together, we got along great. Now, it feels like I signed a contract of submission. I live under his constant judgment of what is right or wrong. He spent his time dwelling on the past and complaining about people's ingratitude. Currently, I'm an intern and in my final year of college. I help pay the bills and I clean the house. On November 29th, my uncle said he was taking my grandma to sleep at his place. I went to my boyfriend's house thinking everything was fine and slept there feeling totally at ease. The next day, I got home and got absolutely chewed out. They came back early because my aunt was sick and my uncle was furious that I wasn't home so he could go to work. Okay, fair enough. I owned my mistake and apologized. However, that afternoon, I had plans to see a play with my boyfriend and his parents, plans I had announced weeks in advance. When I left, my uncle called me freaking out, calling me a liar, saying he had a samba school rehearsal and that I shouldn't have left. I argued that I had warned him, but he claimed I didn't say it was this Sunday. Anyway, the vibe got terrible between the siblings, and we barely speak now. On December 18th, I had an office party. I arrived late and told my grandma a white lie that it was for networking, but the truth is I just stayed late eating ravioli. My uncle heard this and made a snide comment that it was just crap talk. Later that same day, my boyfriend invited me for a barbecue and volleyball. I waited at home to leave only when my uncle arrived, so my grandma wouldn't be alone. However, she called him saying she wanted to go out. When she hung up, she told me that my uncle said I could go and that he was already almost home. So I went out, slept at a friend's house, and came back the next day before noon to make lunch. When I was in the kitchen, my uncle came in screaming things like, "You are a liar? What was the deal? You can't leave the house if no one is here with my mother. Your grandmother tripped yesterday, and you didn't even see. You are useless. And this son of a b doesn't even care that her grandma is stressed out." He even said that because I was making my grandma nervous, he was going to grab me by the neck. I didn't answer him at all because I simply felt a surreal peace inside me. Days later, my dad came to visit and my uncle came to talk. He called me a liar again because I invited my other uncle to see my thesis presentation, claiming that wasn't the deal. I explained that this uncle coming was a last-minute thing. When I found out the date, I told my uncle and my grandma that they would go to the graduation ceremony. The people invited to the thesis presentation were the ones financially supporting my college. But when the day came, they didn't go. So I called my other uncle to go since he wouldn't be in my graduation. I left that just for my paternal family. I told my uncle that plans change, and I don't need to justify myself to him. He said the problems of the house are my problems too. I didn't reply verbally, but internally I said no, because the only burdens I will carry are helping pay bills, cleaning the house, and caring for my grandma as best as I can. He said I twist narratives, and that makes me a liar. I replied, "If that's what you think of me, then I am." He saw I wasn't engaging much in the fight and later said that if living together got worse, I wasn't allowed to complain. I said fine. Now, the latest incident. He called me clueless because he asked if I left clothes in the washing machine. I took a moment to answer because I genuinely didn't remember. When I said I didn't remember, he said, "You never know anything, you're clueless. You never remember anything?" Because my mother already said she doesn't want you doing that. Then he said if he saw my door closed, he would kick it open with 2 feet because my grandma said she wanted it open, and that day I left it slightly ajar. The agreement was to keep it open when it was just me and her, so I could hear if she yelled, but now he changed the rules of the game. I can't have privacy. Today's Saturday. I told my boyfriend I can't go to his dad's birthday because my uncle said the deal is that I only leave the house if my dad is here to cover the shift with Grandma, even if he is home. Basically, he wants to punish me. He said I dropped the ball with him, and now I'm reaping what I sowed. It's absurd because he and my dad are the sons. They're the ones who have to take care of her. Now, I'm tirelessly looking for another place to live, but I'm afraid of being the ungrateful jerk for leaving my grandma in this situation.